Many times stylists ask sharpeners or distributors, what size scissor should I be using? And they've heard that there is a traditional way of measuring a scissor against their hand, and they'd like to know what that is. And what that is that a scissor is laid on the palm of the hand of the stylist, and the finger rest or tang is supposed to be right at the base of the thumb. The end of the blade should be somewhere between the first knuckle and the end of the middle finger. Now this scissor is a little bit too long for my hand in that traditional way of measuring. The theory behind this was that when the stylist was holding the shear and doing layering or blunt cutting, this finger would hit against the end of the middle finger, and the stylist then would be prevented from cutting her in between her fingers because the blade would not reach there. The reality is that stylists are either cutters or they're not. I've seen gals with very long fingers and a 4.5-inch scissor who cut themselves quite regularly, and I've seen little gals with tiny hands using a 6-inch blade for layer cutting, and they never cut themselves. So really the size should be determined by the way that the stylist is using the scissor. Is she using it for a lot of detail work? If she is, she might want a shorter scissor, maybe a 4.5. That's very small, but possibly, or a 5. For most of her cutting, she's probably going to be more comfortable with a 5.5-inch scissor. Most schools are teaching now with a 5.5-inch scissor, and so most stylists are getting used to that size. It's become the most common size. But there are many stylists who like the length of a 6-inch scissor. They feel they have more control that way. And so really it comes down to a matter of comfort. A longer scissor is going to weigh a little bit more, so that's something that she needs to take into consideration. And so also the balance of the scissor. If she feels that the blade is a little too heavy for her, it might be that either the scissor is not properly balanced or that blade is just a little bit too long for her. It's never a good idea to take a stylist from a 5-inch scissor, for instance, for basic cutting, up to a 6-inch scissor. That's a really big jump, and so it should be done more in increments of 1/2 inches. So if she's using a 5 currently and wants to go a little longer, she'd be better off starting with a 5.5. If she's using a 5.5 and feels that she wants to go longer, then go up to a 6, not up to a 6.5, for instance. So those are ways of helping a stylist determine what blade length she is comfortable with, that are more relevant than just laying the scissor in the palm of the hand and measuring that way. Thank you.